say what's going on for you right now.
Yeah. So I'm dealing with this thing where I hear you saying that everything is now, and everything else is basically my imagination, the story of me, the sense of, like, you know, being this guy is kind of like a story that I'm holding on to. What I can't wrap my head around is, if the moment is all there is, how come it seems to me so much like there's, like, you know, a gradual process there, or could I snap out of it right now, or do I have to, you know, sort my shit with my sister or whatever before I'm ready to snap out of it? I hear what you're saying about, you know, reaching a humility and like basically, like, you know, dropping your ego, and like, and that sounds to me like a very gradual process. I'm kind of sick of that gradual process because I've been doing this for 10 years now, you know.
Okay, is that the question?
The question is, can I snap out of this, whatever this is now, today? Or do I have to, like, wait another 10 years until my ego is broken enough for me to get it, kind of thing?
Okay, those are all really good questions. Very good. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the 10,000 things is built on questions that other people ask, questions like yours that really I feel capable of replying. A good question gets a good answer. So yours are good questions. That's what the 10,000 things is about. It's a series of Q&As. So each one of those Q&As is on a different level, depending on who was asking the question. Each questioner is a unique aliveness, with a unique story and a background, family, a body, all of this. Okay, so the answers come out different. They're not truths; they're replies. Yes. Yeah. So when I said "now is all there is," that was a reply to a question, but it's not entirely true. It's only kind of true. And it's important, if we're going to go into these matters, not to be misled by words that anyone says. The words can only point in a very rough way to something that is indescribable, but is present right here, not at the end of any further humiliation or kicking the shit out of your ego or whatever the recommendation is, which I do not agree with at all. That kind of process. Self-humiliation is
no, sorry. What I was referring to, sorry for interrupting, is, you know, I was kind of asking you something about spiritual gurus versus therapists and so on. And you kind of told me that basically what I have to see is this thing where I have my idea of myself, basically, and how I should drop that.
You see, I'm not recommending something like that, Danny. Not at all. I'm not recommending for you to do anything about myself. What the 10,000 things is about is not some procedure that you're required to enter into so that you can be enlightened. That's not it. There's not a word like that in that book. I think if you read it, if one reads it carefully, you'll see there's no recommendations. The only
sorry, I have not read the book yet. I will.
Okay.
But I've only been listening to your podcast.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that's great. Well, we're talking about it now. So, but do read the book. It's worth it. It's a good read. So,
I will.
Yeah. But beyond that, we're talking now. So let's just talk now. Forget the book. There is not a way to escape from one story. if there's a story present, that story is you in that moment. In the next moment, if that story is forgotten, and the story is forgotten, and now I've got my camera, and I am not even thinking about Robert anymore. I'm observing something in the world with the eye of the artist. And I don't care about Robert Saltzman. Never occurred to me. You know, I'm not judging. I'm just going to, yes? See, this is a tool. So it's good to have tools. People have guitars for that reason or whatever it is. This is a way of bringing that story, making it quiet. It's a form of meditation. See, it's to enter in, or like when I've got 3 donkeys. The big one, I've got one very large kind of work donkey, Sombra, and she's beautiful. And every day when we run into each other out in the yard, first thing, she nuzzles against me and I give her a big hug and scratch her ears and all of that. In that moment, there's no story. I'm just filled with the love of an animal. It's very powerful. She's a big animal. And it's so, see, it's this aliveness. The story continues. It's not a question of ending the story or putting your foot on the neck of ego and all that. Those are misunderstandings. These are completely misunderstood. It's about being this aliveness you are right now. As you sit here now, Danny, you are breathing. But you are not doing that. Breathing is happening. Your food is being digested. Danny is not digesting jack shit. That digestion is taking place. Your hair is being grown. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Waves of vibrations are striking the eardrum and moving a bunch of tiny bones around in there that have nerves attached to them. And those nerve impulses are going to some part of the brain that deciphers these vibrations, makes them into sounds that some other part of the brain can organize into words, that some either even higher brain function can make into sentences and thoughts and themes and novels and histories of the universe and Stephen Hawking. And see, it's all taking place automatically. No one's doing it. That is how you can feel this aliveness, by just, I can't give this to you. Do you understand? There's no way to teach this. So I don't want my words to be misunderstood. This isn't a project. It's not, I'm not giving you instructions.
I hear what you're saying about.
But if you can keep this idea in mind, I'm not the doer. This is all arising. Try to just keep the idea in mind. Don't believe me. Just keep observing it. If you have a feeling, ask yourself, did I make that feeling? Or am I just feeling this feeling? And if I'm just feeling the feeling, then I'm just the feeling. I'm just feeling. Feelings are not divided into the feeler and that which is felt and the process. Well, let's go to the eye, that's simpler. It's not that there are objects to be seen and a process called seeing, and then there's this seer in here. That all takes place simultaneously, and we don't know what it is. If you're a scientist, you'd say there's quarks out there, and they're organized into molecules, and photons are hitting the optic nerve, and that'd be scientific explanation. The metaphysical explanation will be that there's really no such thing as myself. There's only consciousness. That neither one is an adequate explanation. It's just words. So what? It's just consciousness. Now what? What does that Okay. What I am so I like to see the human limitation, which is what John Troy is referring to. At a certain point, understand that you cannot grasp this. It's happening. Yes, it's happening, but it's beyond your. It's within your ken, but not within your grasp. Now, that is what Peter Zappi is talking about, and that's what we have to live with. If you are willing to live with that, then you and I are like brothers. We're in the same world. If you're not willing to live with that, then you're part of the hypnotic masses. And I kind of fear them in the supermarket now that I've got the broken arm, because they're so hypnotized they might run into me. Truly. So that's what we're dealing with. We have a mass herd of hypnotized human beings who believe in all kinds of nonsense. And we have some people who have come to some kind of awakening. But we don't have truth. As John said, the truth is impermanent and you can't know it. So,
can I ask you one more thing?
Well, just let me finish up here, and then absolutely. So now I want to ask you, in this moment, can you get a feeling for the fact that in my freedom, I'm not speaking. I'm listening to this in the same way you are. Maybe it's hard for you to understand that. Maybe it'll make sense right away. But there's no one talking. These words are coming from who knows where. And why they're coming through Robert's mouth at this moment is a total mystery to me. This was not my ambition. And so I'm forced to recognize the impermanent truth of this moment. As John Troy was saying, this moment is impermanent. It's dead before anybody can get a hold of it. See, and so I just have this brief moment. It's nothing, and then it's gone. And at the end, when you get to be old like John and me, all you have to look forward to is this understanding: old age, illness, and death. So I hope that by the time you get down the road that far, if you manage to, you have the understanding. And that's why I express it, because without this understanding, then you'll be in hell. And to escape from that hell, you'll invent a heaven, and people will teach you the rules to get to that heaven. And then you'll either be in Christian church, or you'll be with, I won't say his name because I'll get bad mail, this guru who has higher reasoning as an explanation for why he knows everything. Whatever the fact may be, it goes one way or another, baby. Pretty soon you're going to know which road you're on, and you don't get to choose. It feels to me like you're on this road with the John Troy and Robert and all that, and here you are at the meeting. So if you are, I can't teach you to be free, but I can tell you you're alive. That's all you got. The rest is a mystery, and no one will solve it. And see, that's the radical thing that John has. When I said the two of us agree, we're both radicals, spiritual radicals, because what's radical about it is we're know-nothings. We don't know anything. we know we don't. And that is such a relief. We know we're alive, and we know that, as John said a couple of meetings ago, and it's a good life. Boy, when he said that, my heart melted, because we were talking about death and dying when he said it. And he was recommending that understanding one's mortality was actually a very fortunate occurrence. And he said, if you understand that, I was so touched. He said, and it's a good life. And when he said that, I said, yeah, it really is, you know. Yes, you have to die and feel pain and all that, but don't explain it away. If you live this, it might be good. You might not need it, Jesus or Buddha or any of that stuff. You might just find that living is good, just as it is.
That's what I'm finding now. And I've got a broken arm and a couple of chronic illnesses, to tell you the truth. But I'm having a great time. So what's the secret? See, it's this aliveness. All right, that's a rant. What's the question, Danny?
Well, the question that arises as I'm listening is, so basically drop the whole, I mean, like, there's nothing I can do, is there?
Whoa. Could you please repeat your last sentence?
There's nothing I can do.
Yes.
I mean, there's no...
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to explain.
Yeah.
Don't explain it to yourself. You just had a really valuable insight. You said it. I did not tell you there's nothing you could do. The words didn't come out of my mouth, man. They came out of yours. You don't need me. You don't need my replies to your question. I'm happy to answer your questions. I don't mean it that way. But it's in you. You just said it. Take credit for it. Speak.
Well, it's also something that I've heard before, you know?
Of course.
It's like a catchphrase.
Of course it is. Nobody invented this shit. The point is that, does it make sense to you in this moment?
Yeah,
if it makes sense to you in this moment, then you're awake in this moment. That's all we got. You're either awake in this moment or you fucking aren't. And either it's going to end.
What's that?
In either case, whether you go through life with many awake moments or totally hypnotized, in either case, it's going to end the same way.
I guess also there's not, because I found my own spirituality being kind of like, you know, a form of addiction. Like basically I would, you know, read spiritual books or watch satsang instead of, you know, playing video games or doing something else. And I could replace that with, like, if I started playing my video game, I could forget about spirituality basically and be addicted to that instead, to repress my pain. And in a sense, I feel like there's nothing I can do about that either. Like, either I'm searching for spiritual books or I'm not searching for spiritual books. And like, I can't really, like, you know, change that.
Well, I'm so glad to meet you, Danny, because you're going to love reading the 2,000 Things. That's what it's all about. That's what the book is about. But you've got it right. You've got it right. You don't have to mess with this. Yes, you've been addicted to spirituality. That's my audience. You're in the demo. You're in the 10,000 Things demographic. Those are the people who find that I'm talking sense, that makes sense to them. I mean, they're people who have tried to meditate, and some of them are really good meditators, but they still feel filled with anxiety.
Yeah, I heard one of your videos like 5 months ago, and then it didn't resonate with me at all. I was like, whatever. And then I heard it again, and yeah.
Wow, I'm like the bait, you know.
I mean, it's changed quite rapidly, my perspective on things.
So you're a newbie. Well, that's really good. Well, you fell in with the right crowd.
Yeah, well, I'm happy.
No, seriously, man. I really mean this.
Yeah.
It's so important to be alive when you are. There's nothing more important. Yeah. Nothing. Not understanding, nothing. The most important, this is what John was saying about marriage and romantic affairs and everything. I don't know if it's good or bad, but if that's what's on the plate, you know, eat it.
Yeah.
That's the way to get the nutrition out of it, not by thinking about it or theorizing, but by eating it, whatever it is.
And I guess kind of dropping the story about I should be meditating or I should try this or I should read that and all that bullshit as well, right? I mean, like, that seems like such a guilt trip in a sense as well.
Yeah, but I think there's a more positive way to deal with that than to condemn yourself for it.
Yeah.
I think what
more positive is to inquire into oneself. When did I first start believing this and why?
Yeah.
See, this is the 10,000 Things recommends this quite often. That's the, instead of these existential doubts and fears, which we all have, we're programmed with them, for Christ's sake. They were a very expensive education system, treated us like prisoners. You have to march in there every morning and sit in your fucking desk silently while they pour that bullshit into your ear for 7 hours or whatever the fuck it is. And if you don't like it and stand up, you're hyperactive and there's some pill down your throat or whatever they do to kids nowadays. Mm. You understand, we were force-fed this bullshit. Force-fed. You were, and so was I. You can't, there's no surgery, brain surgery for it. There's no psychotherapy that can dissolve it. You have to see it. That is the disorder of your mind. And that is the mind that the hypnotized people are using to judge everything in this world as to good or bad. They're using this total disordered mind that was fucked with from the day they were born. Now they're adults and they're using that to judge truth or God or whatever. See, you have to see the absurdity of it. Not that there's something wrong with you, that we've been put in this untenable situation, and that is the spiritual search comes out of that. I'm in this terror. I see I'm in a kind of a fix. I'm being driven by my feelings. I'm just, you know, my sexuality is hanging me up. I don't feel anxiety. I don't know, you know, whatever the. And then you get someone like John or me who just gets clear. But we're all in the same world. It's not that I don't have any problems. I've got a broken arm, for Christ's sake. Didn't need that.
Can I ask you one last thing?
Of course. Let me finish my rant, and then you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I tend to do this because these are ideas that I kept in me for a very long time, and they're complex. See, the simple shit is the bestseller. What I'm talking about here is something really subtle. I'm telling you that you're hypnotized. And part of that hypnosis is that you have been convinced that you should judge yourself as to good or bad. That's what you have to snap out of. Not some spiritual idea that you're going to learn. That's nothing. That's just entertainment. The thing that you have to snap out of is this hypnotic trance where you are split down the middle. That's non-duality for you. You have to, where you're split down the middle, judging yourself. That's the top dog and the underdog. The top dog will say, gee, you're really wasting your time. Look at how can you, and the underdog will say, gee, I'm sorry, I'm doing the best I can. A top dog, and this is going on inside your head, see? Okay, yes, now you're nodding, right? Okay. So that's a disordered mind. And that disorder was put upon us by our enculturation and our disappointment in our caregivers and all the rest of it. And this horrible religion that the human race has indulged in for thousands of years, superstition. Okay, so only see the disorder. You can't order it. You can't fix it. You cannot fix anything. As you said earlier, great wisdom. I can't do anything. Yes, that's right. But you can see. It's all you can do, I say. Your questions.
So, waking up, let's say, it happens when you're how should I say this, like you're not gonna like snap out of it randomly. It happens when your story ends. Well when I see that there's no more, like what you say, if you see yourself without judgment,
yes.
if you come, yeah,
Yes.
But then basically then it's not a lottery in a sense, because many times I hear this stuff, you know, that it happened despite my efforts or whatever. But I also hear people saying that if there's intention, it will happen eventually, or, you know, all this stuff, like it's kind of some kind of like lottery ticket for you or whatever, you know?
Well, if you listen to people discussing this kind of stuff, you're going to hear a million opinions.
Yeah.
But you have a source of information that's much closer to you, and that is much more personal and much more useful than anyone else's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own thoughts and feelings. That is you. The story about, to go back to the story I tell myself, I'm not saying that story is nothing. I have an autobiography. We all do. I'm not saying erase that or pretend, as some of these idiot non-duality freaks do. That doesn't even exist. That's just a total fantasy. No, it isn't. It exists as much as any other story exists.
Okay.
And it's more important to us, our own story, than anyone else's, obviously. We're always at this, as Chuck Hillig, my friend Chuck, likes to say, how do you know this is your movie? Because you're always in the center of every scene. And he's right. But the story I tell myself, it's not about eliminating that story. Just let it be. It has to unravel. It has to be what it is. You have a story.
Yeah. It's just what you said about the judger and the judged. It resonates with me, but I just don't really see if I should just let it be and, you know, get on with my life, kind of thing.
Do you have that choice?
No, not really.
Because if you do have the choice to just get on with your life and feel totally satisfied, no matter what happens, then you'll be me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really want that. I'm kind of beat up. I think what you want to do is live the life you have now while you're strong and young and can fully enjoy it. And just be conscious while you're doing it, see?
Okay.
You don't have to choose to get over anything.
Good.
Participate, but do it. Don't be in a hypnotic trance while you're participating, that you're alive.
Okay.
Keep telling yourself that, I'm alive. Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, there's a lot of truth in what I just said. It's not the truth, but it's very true. Danny, I'm really glad to meet you. Please continue to.
I will.
Yeah.
The same.
You're doing great, man. I really.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.